Now let's move on to the topic to prevent rusting. The previous class we discussed about rusting. Now let us discuss about how to prevent this rusting, how to protect the iron from rusting on page 93, 94 and 95. Now let's move on to first step, how to prevent. We have to coat this iron with oil, grease or lubricating object so that the surface, iron surface, does not be in contact with the air or oxygen which is present in the atmosphere. So rusting will not occur because of absence of oxygen. The second step is galvanization. It is a process of coating of zinc metal over the iron. Thus, the iron metal will be prevented from rusting. The same manner, we can coat tin over the iron. This is called tinning. And alloying. What does it mean, alloying? Mixing of one or more metal and non-metal. If we avoid rusting, if we want to avoid rusting, we have to add some more metals and carbon non-metal, that is nickel, chromium, this and all can be added along with the iron. So that this process is called alloying. So if you add these all metals, it will not be getting rusted. It will be protected from rusting. We say stainless steel. It is also a mixture of iron, chromium, nickel, more than one metals. Along with the iron, we add some more metal while mixing. Okay, while extracting. So what happened? Corrosion or rusting will not take place on the surface. Next topic is, why does exposed surface of the cut brinjal become black? You might have experienced in this. When you cut and after few minutes, the surface of the brinjal, cut portion of the brinjal changes its color. This cut brinjal turn its color or changes its color because the chemical compound enzymes present in this brinjal is polyphenol oxidase or tyrosinase. This compound oxidizes, that means they react with the oxygen, so forming new compound. That is the reason the color changes. You can observe like this changes in apple, banana, etc. You know that many of the inner portion of the brinjal turns black due to this oxidation reactions. You know why brinjal float on water? Because it occupies 25% of air inside. The enzyme PPO, polyphenol oxidase, is most important in many cases. So it is called desirable changes, where it is used for coloring the tea, coffee, cocoa. This all coloring is done because of this compound polyphenol oxidase. Now let's move on to the topic crystallization. What is crystallization? It is one of the most important method of purification of salt. They prepare saturated solution. After preparing saturated solution, they cool the solution. On cooling, you will get crystal-like structure, that is pure form of substance. This process is called crystallization, whereas impurity in them settle down. The process of crystallization includes two steps. The first step is nucleation. The second step is crystal growth. Nucleation is a process in which solute molecules in the solvent gather to form clusters. The cluster then stabilizes at a particular temperature and pressure. We can say nucleation is the initial process of crystal formation. In nucleation, cluster formation occurs, and afterwards what happens? The atom begins to arrange deposit on this cluster form in the periodic manner, thus gives crystalline structure. Such a crystal formed from saturated solution also, vapor state also. From copper sulfate solution, we get the copper sulfate crystal in solution form. But we get naphthalene from vapor state. Vapor saturated solution is a solution in which more solute particles are dissolved. For example, if you prepare sugar solution in which water is a solvent and sugar is a solute. If the solute amount is more than the saturated solution, then we can say the solution is supersaturated. Here is an activity 10 to show the process of crystallization. Materials required are watch glass, heating a setup, beaker, 2 beakers, copper sulfate, naphthalene ball, sand, some ice and water. procedure. Copper sulfate is solute and water is a solvent. You are going to prepare saturated solution. How will you prepare? Heat some water in a beaker and add some copper sulfate salt into it. Keep stirring till no more salt dissolve in the water. That means solution. What does it mean? You have to prepare saturated solution. How will you prepare? You have to keep on adding salt to the water. It dissolves in some extent. In particular extent, the salt which you add will not dissolve. That means the solution is saturated. This solution is called saturated solution. Now what you are going to do? Heat some water in a large beaker. Dip a string, that is thread-like structure, with the help of glass rod and put it in the copper solution. What does it senses? It senses that the string should be dipped into the copper sulfate solution. Now what will happen after a few minutes? A pure crystal form of copper sulfate is seen to appear or deposit at the end of the string. Likewise, pure form of crystals can be separated. Impurities remain in the solution. Crystallization is one of the method of purifying salt or purification of salt. Now we are going to prepare crystal soft naphthalene ball. Here you are going to take sand with a crushed naphthalene ball in a small metal bowl. Now you are going to cover this with watch glass and also keep showering powder iced on this watch glass. Now you are going to heat the metal bowl in which water are present, mixture of sand and a crushed naphthalene ball. We can observe formation of crystals begins to appear on the underside of the watch glass. What is this pure form of crystal, which is pure naphthalene? This is an example of sublimation process. The next topic is why is seawater salty? You know seawater is salty, in which 3.5% of salt is present in seawater. Seawater is salty because of decaying organic matter that comes from the life in the sea and ocean, as well as the process of erosion and weathering of igneous rocks. These all materials are being carried out to the sea and ocean from the earth's surface, and also dissolving of salt from the ocean floors and volcanic eruption which occurs under the sea over the period of millions of years. The salt which is present in seawater is sodium chloride. Its chemical formula is NaCl. We can separate this salt from the seawater by following two steps. First, they will collect the seawater, then they will keep the water under the sun for the evaporation to take place. Finally, we get crystal salt, that is NaCl salt. It can be called as sea salt, sun salt, table salt, etc. It may not be in pure state, that is, some impurities are present along with this salt, so it needs to be refined. You know the history of Dandi March by Gandhiji. He started his march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi in order to get relief from salt tax from the British. It is said that in Dead Sea, the salinity of seawater is 33.7%. Such nature of salt does not allow any living organism to live, except some microorganisms like fungi and bacteria, etc.